From the hustle and bustle of Santon Central, a special edition of Mags on Media this week, as we focus on the power of consumerism and also a concept called content marketing. We'll also revisit some of our best advertising of 2012. A warm welcome. Let's start this week in conversation with Cindy Gallop, who is founder and former chair of the US branch of the advertising agency Bartle Bogle Hegarty. Also founder of two projects, IfWeRanTheWorld and MakeLoveNotPorn. So the question is, where is the link to marketing and brand communication? Cindy, a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us. You say this, you don't like status quo, you like to blow stuff up. What are you talking about?
So I work across a whole number of business sectors in my work as a consultant, and I have the opportunity to see the same dynamics playing out across all of them. In every business sector, usually the industry has gotten so big it's become conventional. It has norms and rules and conventions. And therefore, every sector has fallen prey to that syndrome of collaborative competition. Collaborative competition is where everybody in a sector competes with everybody else in the sector by doing exactly the same thing everybody else in the sector is doing. And everywhere, industries are tanking because their old world order business model has been destroyed by the advent of free whatever it is online, and they haven't worked out how to invent a new one. Every dynamic I've just cited is true of music, advertising, publishing, broadcasting, and porn across the board. And so what I explain to marketers is that in a situation like the one we're facing today, fear is the single worst emotion you can experience in business. Fear is paralyzing. Decisions made out of fear are always very bad decisions. Ironically, the perceived safe option is the wrong way to go. The biggest risk today is not taking one. And the great thing about the situation we're all in today, and you may find it very odd that I use the word great, is that when things get as bad as they are currently, when everything breaks down completely, given the appalling economic situation every country in the world is facing, that represents huge opportunity. Adversity brings out opportunity in very interesting places. When everything breaks down, that is what allows new models of doing things, new ways of doing things, new ways of thinking about things to emerge in a way they never would have done if the status quo had continued.
Now, one of the words that you've just used is porn. And you're a porn star, but not in the way that we think.
Absolutely. I date younger men, and through dating younger men, I encountered very personally what happens when we combine the total freedom of access to hardcore porn online with our reluctance as a society to talk openly and honestly about sex. And that results in porn becoming, by default, sex education, and that is not a good thing. So when I realized this about 4 years ago, I put up a no money, a very basic website at MakeLoveNotPorn.com that posts the myths of hardcore porn and balances them with the reality. The construct is porn world, real world. I launched it with a talk at TED. The talk went viral given that I was very straightforward in it. That means that there's been an extraordinary response to Make Love Not Porn ever since, so much so that I felt a responsibility to take it forwards, and my team and I have just launched MakeLoveNotPorn.tv. Make Love Not Porn is not anti-porn. The issue I'm tackling is not porn. I'm tackling the total absence of an open, healthy discussion around sex and porn. My entire message boils down to talk about it. And so MakeLoveNotPorn.tv simply takes every dynamic that exists out there in social media currently and applies them to the one area no other social media network or platform will go, which is sex. I want to socialize sex. I want to make real-world sex socially acceptable and therefore as socially shareable and discussable as anything else we currently share on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr.
Why do we have this inherent fear of pornography?
We have this inherent fear of porn while everybody's watching it. And that is as true for South Africa as it is anywhere else in the world. And by the way, my tagline for Make Love Not Porn is pro-sex, pro-porn, pro-knowing the difference. The issue isn't porn. Everybody likes to watch porn because sex is a natural human drive. The issue is the total lack of a counterpoint to porn. An inability by parents to talk to their kids about sex, schools and colleges running into problems when they try and instigate sex education. And so people have nothing to go on when they begin having sex themselves and want to please their partners. And in that situation, they'll break out the porn moves. And I can tell you from personal experience, that's not a good idea.
What then is the link between the argument that you're putting forward, and a very compelling argument, and brand communication? If in fact there is one.
There absolutely is a link, in the sense that I gave a talk at the Cannes Lions Advertising Festival back in June on porn, youth and brands, the biggest socio-cultural influence on young people today that we don't talk about. And I talked about the pornification of culture. Which I experienced very directly myself at Cannes, because one of the things I love about the south of France is the ability to sunbathe topless. I love sunbathing topless. If you live in America, as I do, you can only do it on private property or at that one pool at Caesar's Palace in Vegas. There's a notice that says European-style sunbathing. So I get down to Cannes, and the first thing I do is race down to the public beach and whip my top off. And then I look around, and nobody else on the beach is sunbathing topless. And this is the south of France. I don't let that put me off, obviously, but when I get back to my apartment, I tweet, France, what's going on? And one of my French followers tweets me a link to an article that talks about a survey that was done in France since 2009 that shows that French women of my generation are very happy sunbathing topless. Young French women no longer want to sunbathe topless because they have body issues. And I said to the audience at Cannes, I know where that comes from. It comes from porn, it comes from the media, it comes from popular culture, and it comes from us, the advertising industry. And I don't mean by that this is an area for corporate social responsibility, but I do mean that as an industry, we now have a responsibility in the future to move away from stereotypes. The new creativity is about real and about helping people, aspire to and embrace the best their real selves can be, as opposed to fantasy images of what women and everybody else should be like.
So marketers then have got the messaging to women wrong most of the time. Is that what you're suggesting?
Women form the majority of purchasers in every product sector. They form the majority of influencers of purchase. Women are the majority of users of social media, they're the majority of gamers, and they are the majority of people who express themselves digitally online. The majority of communications and advertising targeted those women is created by men. In the US, 97% of all advertising agency creative directors are male. The majority of people judging whether those advertising and communications are, creative, effective, the gold standard in our industry are male, as anyone who's ever played Hunt the Woman in a Cannes jury photograph knows. And the majority of people leading the businesses that shape the future of advertising are male. The new creativity is female informed, and I say to the whole ad industry as often as I can, look at the places within your agency or anywhere else that are all or predominantly male and change that, because that's how you own the future.
Given that we have a female camera person with us and yourself, I'm feeling vastly in the minority, so let's move on to something else, to the other issue of CSI and this project, this initiative called If We Ran the World. What's it about?
I believe that our industry has to move from a focus on making good advertising to making advertising good. We have to make people believe that what we do can be a force for good if we even want to have a future. We're despised enough as it is. And at the moment, even the most future-forward marketers are only operating at the level that is co-creation. Brands invite consumers to create content and to share it. I believe the future is about co-action. Brands and consumers micro-acting together to create impacts in the real world that benefit consumers, benefit society, and benefit the brand and its business. The business model of the future is shared values plus shared action equals shared profit. Financial profit and social profit. The future of business is about doing good and making money simultaneously, and that's what my venture, If We Ran the World, is designed to help people do as a future-forward marketing platform.
In fact, you rebuilt a town in the United States of America, if I'm not mistaken.
We endeavoured to help Levi's work with Braddock in Pennsylvania to actually regenerate a community that had been afflicted by, urban blight, closure of steel mills, and poverty. And the message there is that The old top-down model of making things happen through hierarchies, organizations, institutions is broken. There's a new bottom-up model emerging of collaborative people power and collective action. It's why your point about emerging markets is absolutely right. People see this model in social media, they see it in Arab Spring, they don't understand its enormous applicability to business. The future is about collaboration in a general sense and in a business sense in a way that we don't see currently. And so whereas I talked earlier about collaborative competition, I believe the future is about competitive collaboration. Brands and businesses collaborating together with consumers to make the world a better place, do good and make money simultaneously in a way that enables the brands themselves to be more competitive about who they are and how they're positioned.
Cindy Gallop, thank you very much for joining us. And if you have some insight or some comment on the information that we have just shared with you, you can share it with us on our Facebook page on this address. Coming up on the program, the ins and outs of content marketing with one of the sharpest thinkers on the subject, in our opinion, in the country. All ahead on Mags on Media.